Daryl, we gotta talk. It's 2:41 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. It's June 8th, 2023, Thursday morning. We were in John City, Roseman, California. Look, dude, I caught your act. That video you just pushed out today. Justin Bieber's dad, Jeremy, and his Pride Month tweets. Okay, fine. I'm nitpicking. I'm gonna nitpick. Okay. Veterans, I know you've got your own point of view about this one. Have you ever had a lifelong family that actually went to war? I do a lot of videos myself, and a lot of self-explanatory, a lot of explanations of what my family went through. Anything and everything exploratory about my own history. And First Amendment gives us the right to say what's on our mind. And our democracy allows us to have differing points of view. I have had history of vets in my family, going back as far as the Revolutionary War. I don't know which vets had actually died in the Civil War. I know I had one that fought in the Revolutionary War. I have had vets fought in World War I, in World War II, in Korea, in Vietnam. I had a friend of mine who fought in the first Iraq War. Saddam Hussein decided to go over to Kuwait and conquer the oil over there. And yes, it was about economics during that time. There was a Middle East coalition with a little bit of European countries added to it to push Saddam back into his territory. And believe me, there was the backstories regarding how he got into power and took over and left and right. Yeah, that's a hell of a political story, believe me. There's a lot of books talked about that one. And yes, when you talked about there's nothing about the oil, not necessarily. Not necessarily. See, we could have, but the Middle Eastern coalition would allow us to go into Iraq to take over Saddam's territory. As much as I learned in history classes, as much as I learned in research, we went as far as we could by pushing him out of Kuwait. Driving him, bombing like crazy. I had a friend of mine, dear friend of mine, David Amasa, high school bud, went into the army. And he did a tour over there. Came back home and had to recoup from that and do whatever he had to do. My big brother was U.S. Navy. He was special weapons operator. Yeah. Sometimes I wish I could tell the whole story about this guy. I was worried about stolen valor at this point. It wasn't stolen valor. He earned his damn money. He earned it. Not because of some mistakes he made in the military, but also things happened to him that prevented him from keeping his honor with the United States government and the medals and stuff. And because of my brother's choice of getting the hell out of the military, just to help the family out at home, took the big chicken dinner, step above dishonorable. Well, he could drive, he could have a job, he'd be buried, he couldn't wear his medals. So said, screw it, he was wearing his medals anyway. He was trying to go for it. 8+ years like that, trying to get his discharge upgraded. Never could get the damn thing upgraded. Long story. Long story, my brother. I was proud that he awarded his uniform. I was proud of him. Wear the vestments and the pins that represented his honor in his country, what he did for the country. What personal sacrifices he had to go through just to take care of his family above the country. My brother went into the first Iraq War. All those oils going up. All those nice oil rigs. That was my brother's work. He was part of it. They couldn't talk about it. They couldn't talk about it because when you're in combat, there's a lot of things happening to you that you can't relate to a civilian. And besides, when they start classifying missions, and then after a long while to declassify it, then he was actually able to talk about it. But also he was, when you're in combat, there's a lot of shit that you have to compartmentalize. I've seen the effect of what PTSD does to a vet. I've seen what it did to my brother. I don't badmouth vets. My brother was able to. We went to stand-downs, veteran gathering places. We talked with the vets. And he talked to some of the original SEALs from the first group that went into Nam. And I met him. I was awe-inspired by these guys. I had a cousin who went from Instruction Battalion in Special Warfare. His name is David Cameron. His name is over at the CD base at Point Hueneme, not to mention in Florida, the SEAL base there. He fought with honor and distinction. So I don't knock on the veterans. You claimed it was regarding the oil, regarding the 9/11 attacks. There was a lot of factors over there besides that which you were talking about. When we got attacked on 9/11, we had already known a long while ago, without the communications being effective as they were today, because departments didn't talk to each other, they didn't play well with each other. And if one group knew of something about it, the other group sure as hell didn't. How the hell do you think we had that bombing on New York City originally, several years earlier at the World Trade Center, that mob decided to take down the World Trade Center with a van full of explosives. Didn't do much damage to World Trade 1. But under the underground, come on, that was gonna do damn shit. They found out who it was, got his ass jailed. Buried him alive at Supermax somewhere. I don't know if he's still there or not. But that was already setting off things already. And then we had the chatter. We had the chatter of what was going on across the Middle East countries, including Saudi Arabia, including Pakistan. Al-Qaeda was growing. Al-Qaeda was growing from the Taliban. The Taliban were growing from those freedom fighters down in Afghanistan when they originally were trying to deal with Russia invading their territory. They got American help, not people, just equipment. But then we failed taking care of them afterwards. So yeah, they were kind of pissed off at the United States and Western countries for not helping them out much, or helping them out more. So they had a hell of a grudge. And yes, it was a Saudi. It was a Saudi. Osama bin Laden, rotten hell, you son of a bitch. He was pissed. He was well, I don't know what the hell his major malfunction was. He was clearly pissed off at us. Gathered a group, got them into the United States to get them trained in how to fly planes. Because he was going to do damage to the Western economy. He was going to ring our bell and get our attention at this point. And he sure as hell did. It only took us a while trying to figure out who the hell was it and why. 9/11 kicked in and everything else went hell in a handbasket. I did videos about this shit. There are I think the last several videos I've done out there somewhere, probably in the wind logs. And don't get me started concerning about labeling. I'll label on my labeling, especially when I go through the things. Anyway. My brother got the phone call. And bad enough, he got the phone call a long time ago when the first one kicked in. Dragged out his equipment. Headed out to San Diego for deployment. That was the last time I seen him. About 3 or 4 weeks later, he comes back home. Tired and ragged as hell. There was no way he was going to talk about the first Iraq War. And they call it the first Iraq War because that was it. The second Iraq War is the continuation of what the hell happened on 9/11. And yeah, that was, let's see, first one was George H. Bush. And you don't knock against his military record. He was World War II. You don't knock against him. His policy, his economic policies, or anything else, I can knock against them. But I don't knock against a guy against his military service, regardless of what the hell he did and what he did. Hell, he could have been a cook, and I wouldn't knock against it. My brother's father was a cook in the U.S. Army in World War II. Married my mother. I did videos about this one too. The only thing I had respect for is it was a veteran. Learned how to have respect for veterans. I learned how to have respect for veterans when I was a teenager. My brother was in the military. I did a volunteer for about a year with a school program and a local Veterans Administration program called GRIPS, Geriatric Rehabilitation Development Program with students. Later, I mean, lady named Shirley. I forgot what her last name was. She was the coordinator, and she was our driver. She was the main point. How to get several rambunctious kids deal with some veterans in Building 99 home in Diego. These guys were the World War I and World War II veterans. And we talked with them. We played games with them. That was the sense. Good guys. So I learned how to have respect and honor these guys. Yeah, back to my brother was called up and he had to go. I stayed home with Ma, taking care of things, and he went off. There was a lot of things he did in his past that sometimes when you're in a military family, you find it incredulous. You start hearing the stories that they'd swap with each other, only when they could with their families or with anybody else. Like, yeah. also heard the stomp of the foot of the military, the government. My brother actually revealed information out there, the war stuff. My brother said, screw it. Part of his recovery was being honest, but not divulging America's secrets. That's against everything, and he wouldn't do that. Unless he told me it was declassified. Then he could talk about his adventures. But yeah, unfortunately, he went out there again. The last time I found out. You see. I know he did the Iraq. I know he went over there. That's 9/11. Okay. I was getting confused concerning about 9/11 because I was confusing with the first Iraq War with my brother's involvement in the situation. But at 9/11 he couldn't go. His injuries that he had obtained in training in combat, 2 knees, titaniums, and shrapnel on his back from an explosion. Because if one particular op wouldn't help. Okay, that's what gave him the problem. I mean, he was able to do Iraq, but after that, forget it. He could check out of San Diego and come back and stay home. I saw his condition. He couldn't even do any training with the guys if he wanted to. And during that time, San Diego had the basement going. Before the base closure alignment things started shutting things down, they would transfer the SEAL training. Actually, they would transfer the naval training, actually, not the SEAL training, but the naval training. The crew training center moved it all the way over to Great Lakes. My brother would report to Coronado and go right back home and deal with civilian life. Everybody else was going back in. Back out. During that time, my brother was dealing with a delivery company. Auto manufactured items. Replacement parts. Go to dealerships left and right. So they have to come and almost disappeared because they were veterans and they got cold. And my brother couldn't. No, he gets workers' comp. He gets a trip and fall and gets to be put back on workers' comp. Damn injuries were given to him. So he wasn't able to get out into Afghanistan or even Iraq. And unfortunately for me, I didn't have any friends that I knew of who went over to Iraq or Afghanistan. And the thing of it is, we had intel that Osama and his nut jobs were out in Afghanistan or Pakistan, somewhere in the areas. But they had to find out where the hell these assholes were coming from, and they really became political. In Iraq, we heard what George W. Bush, the son of George H. Bush, said, and we took it for granted during that time. We didn't think that he was going to be doing his father's dirty deeds. We didn't expect that W was going to be doing H's dirty work and finishing things up and toppling Iraq because that's what H wanted in the first place. Maybe it was for the oil, I don't know. But it was political, I know that much. And there was veterans I've seen over at the stand down there talking about it. They were confused, but they were pissed off. And they didn't care. They went over England. My brother, he knew it was crazy. He knew it was insane during those days. It's like about that. We found out who it was, and it took him months to find out that it was Osama. That people really, really started getting pissed off. Went over to the recruitment stations. I tell you, if I didn't have a heart attack, actually, if I didn't have the heart condition I was born with, I would have tried to join the military. Would have been the Army. I wanted to join the Air Force. I wasn't intelligent enough for it. I sure the hell wasn't having good eyesight for the damn shit, that's for sure. Maybe the Navy. Not a pilot, but someone else in the Navy. Maybe a Coast Guard. Never been a Coast Guard. But because I had heart surgery, I was disqualified. Had a broken elbow, 7 years old. That's another disqualification right there. Yeah, I had a lot of medical things happen to me that pulverized me to a point where I think the doctors would have seen me saying, "No," and before I get out of here. That would have happened to me. Was it for political? Was it for oil? Was it for control? I don't know. I mean, everyone else's interpretation for Iraq. Afghanistan, that was a terrorist hunt. That was a terrorist hunt. Or Afghanistan of a bitch. We finally found the son of a bitch like 20 years later. Bye-bye, asshole. Yeah, it was a costly war. This was the most costliest war we've ever been in. It costed more men and more blood and everything else that our economy was pumping into this thing. Do I hold it against the veterans for doing their job? No. But if they were going to be doing something against orders, that's a different thing altogether. Now, if they went in there and tried to rape or incest or shoot civilians just because they got pissed off about it, those are war crimes. The thing is, we had to be held accountable. Okay, Darryl? They had to be held accountable. World War I, we had war crimes tribunals. War crimes acts. We had the Geneva Conventions. Had to be governing our actions at all times, especially in combat. And even non-combat, it still had to govern us. There were certain things you could do in war, and other things you were not allowed to do in war. And everything gets bloody and messy in a damn thing. And when we find out maybe years later, decades later, that something happened, they have to investigate. Our military and our tribunals have to investigate what the hell happened. And sometimes be held accountable in our own court systems. Of course, we got The Hague, in the Netherlands, that can also try for war crimes as well. I don't knock it against the soldiers. The soldiers have to go in there and do their damn jobs, what the government tells them. So I knock it against the politicians who actually made that decision. So that's right. If it was for oil, just to control the oil fields, was that about it? We sure as hell didn't control them long in Iraq, but we sure as hell destroyed the country in there. We had a strong man, but we also had political parties in there. See, Darryl, when I went to college the first time, none of this political crap I learned and did and tried to discuss it with people. I only learned the basics about American politics. If I had stayed instead of doing English history and American history, maybe I would have had something. But I tell you, some of the information was pretty damn limited back in the 80s. Here it is, in the 2000s. I went back to college in 2014, 15, somewhere in that area. And I took political science 101, and I took political science 201, and I took political science 301. It's got upper stages of how politics in every genre, in every format, affects us all. Politics. humans' way of trying to control. Look how our political system is. You ever read the Federalist Papers? Federalist Paper 10. You gotta love Hamilton for that one. That was one of those guys. But in there, he was talking about the consent of the governed, which means us giving consent to people to govern over us for our lives, for to make it better somehow. Why we have the government the way we have it right now. And as politicians, during those days, wrapping my lips. It's politicians that we have that makes the footprints necessary and to make the shit going on like crazy. I don't know how else to explain it. But I don't knock against the veterans unless these veterans are actually the ones who are going to be going out and hurting people deliberately on their own accord because something screwed them, because something in their head went off. Or if they were ordered by senior officials, either in the Pentagon up to the current chain of command. If there was a mission that was needed to be done, they go in there and they do it. And yes, maybe eventually they'll be held accountable. Maybe the Hague will say that these guys did war crimes and they'll be held accountable. But they're also going to be held accountable in the United States court systems with the Military Court of Justice. MSMC. The military has their own code that they have to follow. Guidelines. Rules. They break them. They pay for them. So I don't knock against the damn veterans. As for Justin Bieber's dad, let him be a pain in the ass. That's his freaking job. He wants to mouth off like crazy. You want to react to the guy being a guest. But the one thing I don't go against is the veterans. Now, it doesn't mean I don't agree with these bastards. There have been some discussions I had with my brother concerning about his job. And I wanted to find out more information through him. You know, the official channels could tell you that, and they put us through the media, or they put us through other sources where you can research fine. But to get a soldier's perspective, I had it like my brother all the damn time. We went to movies left and right, military stuff, and he talked about stuff. The movie talked, no, that's another story. But the one that came out was Martin Sheen and Michael Biehn, Navy SEALs. My brother and I went over to a movie theater at West Hollywood. The UCLA area had a lot of theaters in the area. Students and visitors alike they'll visit the open campus and see what it's like. Hell, I didn't. My brother did on a few occasions. Went back to UCLA. It's a special place for my brother's heart in that place. Anyway. There were movie theaters out west. One of them was a little isolated away from the main strip. We drove up to. And they were still playing the movie Navy SEALs. Now we missed the premieres and things in our lives that we couldn't even see the damn thing in the San Fernando Valley. So we got the last basket just on it to westward. Yeah, we're joined by other people in there, young adults, young kids, 20-year-olds, snot-nosed brats, 30-year-olds, sleeping sometimes, and then we got the grizzled veterans. They're shaking their heads. We're watching this damn thing. Brats are making their nut. What? Not that cool, not that cool, look at it. And out there, some of the guys talking in the back, oh shit, you believe this, man? you keep it down already? We're trying to enjoy this damn thing. After we left, one of the guys tried to pick a fight with my brother. He was trying to do that. Something my brother said to the guy told him shut up. Because my brother wanted to watch a movie and enjoy it. It was bullshit, but he was going to see the damn thing in the first place. And he was going to meet my brother out in the parking lot. My brother's coming over there with me, cripple stick with this. And he's looking at the, and this, I think it was mid-20s, late 20s, mouthing off like crazy at the military and stuff like that. My brother already had his military vestments on. He had a leather vest with a bullet cap with his newest Navy SEALs on it. And my brother just wanted to see a movie and have a laugh. I was watching the movie like, that shit isn't happening. Yeah, that's not it. Okay. That's still happening? Yeah. Yeah, look at that. He's gone. I know what it's like. What are you talking about? Yeah, I know what that's like. You're shitting me. I'll talk about it when we get in the car. Okay. Get to the damn parking lot, and some of the veterans are gathering around one particular area, and they're talking and laughing their asses off. You know that shit, John Patrick? Yeah, you see Michael Bailey? What the fuck is that shit? What do you do with that crap? You can't even fuck. Oh, God. And then they say the commotion with my brother and the guy. The guy's Badmouth, and he's driving back the whole big bad. My brother's just staring at him. And then, unfortunately, my brother started bleeding in his eyes. Oh, shit, not again. There was a thing that happened to my brother a long time ago that he got pissed off. He bleeded through his eyes. Capillaries would pop out. And blood would come down his eyes. My brother got busted a long time ago when he was stationed out in Bremerton. He was having a problem with some of the guys on board the ship. He was on an aircraft carrier. Oh shit. I'm sorry, Carlson. And what my brother was telling me, there was one particular chief asshole that was doing a job on my brother. My brother did a job on him. Got himself so fucked up that he had to crawl himself to the base, check himself into the guard shack, and then they took him fast to a hospital. He almost missed the ship because he was in the hospital recovering. Lost part of his hearing, and his eyes got popped where he'd get angry enough he'd bleed like crazy. Anyway, he started bleeding. I remember my brother was getting pissed off, and he sure locked this damn thing up, but this guy pushed his butt so much. And the veterans saw this, and they started gathering behind the damn troublemaker. My brother says, I don't think you want to go there. You really, really don't want to go there. Yeah, why is that? Take a look around, skinny. What the fuck? These veterans are looking at him, they're like towering over this guy a bit. Like, no. You want to shut up and go home, or you really want to finish this conversation. We really don't want to be wearing handcuffs at this point. Go home. Guy sputtered and left. Still nothing. And it took a short time them calming my brother down. And I was finding out a little bit more tactics with him. And I was gathering more and more respect for these guys because these guys had been through the shit. I'm looking at them. And I'm like, these guys ain't pulling shit. They're not pulling punctures. These guys were talking about what they were going through. So this is what you went through? Yeah. These are my brothers. Brothers because they all shared the same shit. But they were different units altogether. It didn't matter which branch they were. They all had something in common. Well, it's crazy you have to sign the damn paperwork to go into the military. My brother wanted to be a Marine, and instead he went for it. Oh, there's another video here I could do on this. Suffice it to say, my brother was proud of the uniform and what he did. I mean, he did a job. He did a job. A little more on this one here before I end this vid. After he graduated from boot camp, it was back mid nearly late 70s. I think it was 77. 77 he had class at that time. And he was doing his training through the SEALs. I talked about this in a lot of my videos. Buried alive, but the words they are. Let's shortchange it. First week of boot camp, my brother punches out the company commander, gets his ass plowed down by every other company commanding and training. And he gets to be sent to the hospital. Bases hospital. And he recovers after 2 or 3 days, and he's looking at the commander of the SEALs. And he's given an option. Complete boot camp through the SEALs by doing 1 through 3, or get a dishonorable discharge. Apparently there was a discussion between his company commanders. One of them got his face smashed in, and he'd be out for a while in the Navy before he gets back in doing fleet duty. But the other one took over. He was a BT, but he saw potential in my brother, and he saw the potential in my brother as it was demonstrated. My brother did 3 stages of training, Coronado. And continued on with the rest of the training after boot camp was done. This one, excuse me. I'm missing a hell of a lot. I remember he came back from his first op. And it took him decades before he could actually turn and talk about it. It was that hard and painful. He took a life. He had to compartmentalize it. He had to learn how to compartmentalize it. He came home as a basket case, and he went over to Long Beach and talked to a shrink. It was a good thing the shrink over there knew how to talk to him. He'd been through it as well. My brother came home a little bit better, but still distant. Daryl, these vets go through a hell of a lot, and the ones who've actually gone overseas and did combat, it didn't matter if it was a major operation or a small operation. They're still doing their damn jobs, and I give them respect. I thank them for coming home alive in one piece. And yeah, I am grateful for their job. Ugly and horrible as it is. In one way, they're trying to protect our peace and our freedom. If we don't appreciate the ways that they're doing it. They've got a job to do. If you've been in the military, you'd understand that even if you have been in the military and you're Badmouth and that thing, I don't know what the hell happened. You probably didn't like what the hell was going on. I know there's been guys coming out of the military, Badmouth, like crazy, saying, Oh, the military's this, the military's that. The next thing I see these assholes do, being militants like the damn Proud Boys, thinking they know shit. Yeah, it's an imperfect world we're living in. But that's the world we're living in right now. And, yeah, okay, I'll talk at you later on this one.